Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Veil, a show that provides insight into the world of weddings. My name is Keith Willard, and this is Marcy Gutenberg with an affair to remember. And look, Brooke Logan Stoner as she pulls out her curlers. All right, girl.
I give up.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
So
I finally get great
awesome.
lighting, and I can't pull a look together.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Well, I brought everybody on all at the same time because it's the original three. I love it because we almost started this broadcast a year ago, and you know the idea that we would even be talking about COVID etiquette is something that I like. Now it's become a thing because weddings are starting to happen again, and so the idea that we need to figure out what the true etiquette, like what are the things that people should be able to ask and what are the things that people shouldn't be able to ask. So I'm going to actually start with you, Marcy, because obviously invitations are a big deal. And recently I heard that somebody was asking, and this was actually in the New York Times, which I was proud to be a part of the article, but in the New York Times, where they were asking that their guests needed to be vaccinated before they came, or because there was going to be no masks allowed at the wedding. And of course I said no.
What?
I thought that was crazy. Right. I thought that was crazy that you would be able to ask your guests to be vaccinated before they come to your wedding, because what does that do? It doesn't protect anybody but yourself. So
well, it really doesn't even
make sense.
100%. I mean, I think people have a false illusion about the vaccine to begin with. If the vaccine is like a flu shot,
right,
you can still get the flu even if you got the flu shot.
Right.
It's just that it may lessen the symptoms.
Well, but it doesn't protect other people.
No.
That's what I don't understand is
Right.
that, it doesn't. So you're our etiquette expert. Is it proper and okay to tell people that they need to be vaccinated before they come to your wedding and that there's going to be no masks allowed on their invitation? What are your thoughts?
My feeling would be, I would, first of all, if it were my client, I would discourage them from doing that. I personally, and it's a personal opinion,
right,
I personally don't feel it's right to inflict my viewpoint on somebody else. I think that other person has their own viewpoint, their own fears that they may be dealing with, and for you to impart your feelings onto them and tell them that this is what they have to do. If it were me and I were a guest, I would say, you know what, enjoy your day,
right.
Send me a video, send me pictures or whatever. I just don't feel it's right to impart your standpoint on the issue.
Right, and I feel like we already ask so much of our guests when they're part of it.
Oh,
and Brooke, are you ready to come back online, Brooke? Just checking. Yep, there she is. All right, she's all beautiful again.
No lashes. That's a crime.
It's a crime. No, but the thing is that the weddings are about inclusivity. I always assume that weddings are about inclusivity and that you want to make everybody feel as safe and as part of it as possible.
And pampered. I mean, that's,
pampered.
You're rolling out the carpet for them to basically come into your home.
Right.
They're there to celebrate with you, and you want to make it so enjoyable for them to be there and be part of the day. Why put all this added extra stress and pressure on somebody is beyond me.
Well, so if somebody wanted to put some type of piece on their invitation, what are you seeing as some general wording that brides and grooms are using in order to make sure that the guests understand that there are precautions being taken and that even though we're doing everything we possibly can, that there's still a chance of the possibility of the virus being spread? Because that's not very romantic, obviously. It's not very wedding-y.
No.
So what's some good wording that somebody could use if they wanted to put it on their invite?
So what I would recommend is, first of all, I would probably leave it off of the main invitation and I would put an enclosure card in. I would also a separate piece, maybe a smaller card.
Right.
Because down the road, that invitation is going to be something that you're going to have saved for prosperity.
So you don't want to have the word COVID all over your
Reminder.
invite. And so if you have a separate piece of paper, then you still have this beautiful invitation. Very good point.
Exactly.
Okay.
The other thing I would do is probably mention that if you are able to do a hybrid event,
Right.
where maybe you're including a video so that the people who don't feel comfortable attending,
Right.
whether you're using masks or not using masks, I think that, if you're doing a hybrid, at least the people who don't feel safe enough to come yet or don't want to come because, maybe you have certain rules, at least this gives them that opportunity to have an involvement in some way. And if you want to send them something in advance, you can send them something in advance to help them become part of the evening.
So what do you say to those people that say, it is my wedding and I can ask whatever I want of my guests? And if that means that I'm asking them not to wear masks and that I want them to be vaccinated, I mean, how do you respond to somebody?
I would say if you received this invitation yourself from somebody else,
right?
How would you perceive that invitation to be to you? Put yourself in that person's shoes. How would you feel? And down the road, think of it in that aspect as well, because that's going to it's going to set a tone for your future relationship with those people who may be offended, may not feel comfortable.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That is exactly the point, is that it's not just about the day of, it is about how people are feeling at the wedding, and it adds, or it could even subtract from the total overall enjoyment of the event. And exactly. I'm sorry, Brooke is catching me off guard with her flashy lights in the background.
No, you know what? I don't have lashes on, so we're just going to do this. Have a little mouth today. Little mouth.
Well, okay.
It's like that Ellen has that game, that she puts on the forehead.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah. I got a 6 head, so what?
What? Okay.
Do I get a bonus prize? Bigger head, bigger forehead?
Well, okay. I want you guys' reaction to this, and I told Marcy a little bit about this story. So yesterday there was a planners event that we went down to the Thesis Hotel. It was great. I got to meet a bunch of other planners that were just basically Miami. So getting a real true worldview about what other people are dealing with as far as etiquette values when it comes to COVID. There was an event that has taken place. It's already taken place, so it's in the past, where they actually asked all of their staff. So the bride and groom did not want masks anywhere in the event. Staff, people, nothing. And they made the staff sign an affidavit that they would not sue the couple because they were requiring them not to wear masks. Okay.
And right underneath that contract needs to be their will.
I have just one word for that, and that's OSHA. I mean, they could be shut down permanently.
But and this actually happened, and it happened here in South Florida. The fact that there is a venue in South Florida that is okay with making their staff sign an affidavit that they will not wear a mask and that they will not sue if they get sick. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? I mean,
I was the money worth it. I mean, I realize we are all in, these times we are all in hard times.
Right.
But if that person passes, if that person gets COVID and that person passes, what do you say to the family?
Right.
Of that individual,
But the audacity of somebody to be able to tell, and these people are, obviously everybody is working like a dog in order to come back from COVID and to, oh gosh, Brooke, let me know when you're ready. But because people haven't been able to work. And so of course they're going to want to work. And if they're having to be told that you can't wear a mask while trying to earn a living,
right.
Then you're really caught between a rock and a hard place. Do I take this job and make some money to pay my bills, or do I risk my life because this bride and groom don't want any masks at the wedding?
Yes.
I mean, that to me is crazy. It is crazy. And so when we talk about etiquette with COVID, I mean, we got to talk about the fact that this is people's lives. I know people out there have a lot of different political positions when it comes to how they feel COVID, but COVID is a real thing. And people need to get over the idea that COVID is not a real thing, or it's not as dangerous as they say. Because as a person that has had COVID, I can tell you, you do not want this. You do not want this. It makes you, and I had it light. I got nothing, and it was dramatic. So I can't even imagine what other people. So, and especially because here we are in the United States, and over 500,000 people have died. And I don't, again, political, but I'm getting on a soapbox. Sorry, guys, getting on a soapbox. But I don't. Again, I know that they say, oh, they're
liquid or powder.
I know they're attributing more people to COVID than supposedly died. Still, 500,000 people is a lot of people. So even if you have a fraction of those people that were diagnosed as COVID and added to those numbers, it's still a shit ton of people, guys. It is still a lot of people that are dying from COVID. So if you're that venue and you're listening to us, shame on you. Shame on you for making your employees not wear a mask and signing an affidavit that they will not sue the couple because the couple didn't want you to wear a mask.
That's
right. Right before like 10 minutes before we were supposed to go live, I got a text from the older lady that I was cleaning her house where she's having surgery on Thursday. She just texted me. She's like, "I'm so sorry. I just tested positive for COVID.
Oh God.
I'm going to have to reschedule." And I'm like, "Oh," and I'm like, my heart sank because I know she's old, extremely mature. And I'm like, so that's why I don't have lashes. I felt bad. I started tearing up a little bit. I'm like, oh no, so good prayers. But I'm like, just out of nowhere,
Well, that's what I'm saying. And
so
more
guess
and more
what?
people.
It's not a hoax, y'all.
But more and more people that I know are starting to get COVID. It's becoming more. I feel like people have decided that they're tired of waiting, and I get it. I know you guys are out there and that you're tired of waiting. But all right, let me step back off my soapbox. I let my opinion be known about that particular venue, which we are not naming.
Well, why not? Let's do it.
No. But if you're a venue, I feel like the safety of your staff is foremost in your mind.
And too many people's lives at risk. I can't believe someone would even have any kind of a brain cell capacity to even think about making that judgment call.
Right. How, who are you to act
No names mentioned.
Right. Who are you to act like God to somebody else? Anyway, let's get back to the subject about etiquette and COVID. Obviously, this is an emotional subject for a lot of people. I mean, I know it's emotional for me. I know it's emotional for Marcy. I know it's emotional for Brooke. And we're just three people out there. But how do you also not make it all about COVID? There's also that part. Because you do want to, focus. And I love the fact that you talked about the invitations and doing a separate insert. So that way your invitation stays clean and clear of anything that says COVID on it. And so that way you have something to remember it by without having COVID stamped all over it and the separate thing. But how do you get the message across to your guests that there is still a danger? That there is still the possibility that we've done everything we can. There's going to be masks. We're going to have sanitizing lotions. We're going to keep everybody socially distant, but that's not 100%. How do you do that?
So you will actually just indicate there, masks must be worn at all times.
Right.
And there's, there's a whole plethora of information that could be provided in advance. Now, I actually am sitting in on a summit this whole week. And it's a very long summit for the Wedding Summit series, which is phenomenal. But I was talking to a woman from the Philippines, and she gave me her list of what they do. And what they do is they send out a notification to all the people who are attending just a few days before, in addition to the invitation.
Okay, so a separate email to everybody.
Email. And it's a whole rundown of all the protocol that's going to be used at this there, and the protocol of what they need to do as guests.
Right.
For instance, where to stand, where to sit, and so forth, so that everything, it's almost like a symphony, everything has to go off at its own time. So that, you keep it, so to speak.
See, and that's a balance because, again, it is a constantly evolving situation right now. I mean, the fact that the vaccines are now even more prevalent. And I have to tell you, since I had COVID, I'm a little lax in how worried I am, because I'm like, oh, I got antibodies, and that's stupid on me. I got to redouble my efforts to protect myself. But again, even me as a planner, I'm getting kind of tired of listening to about COVID. So, that's the other part of it. How do you make sure that your guests, that you keep the fun, the joy, the love in it, and COVID fatigue? I mean, that's really what we're talking about.
Right. And I think, I think it's going to be, we're going to be wearing masks for a while. I really don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, in my opinion.
No, it's not.
I just say embrace it.
Yeah.
Go with it. Get over it.
Embrace it. Rhinestone it. Put stickers on it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because rather than fighting it, just deal with it. I mean, just move on from it. And I think you're going to come out on the other side on a more positive note. But if you're constantly fighting it, then all you're doing is putting out negative energy. Negative energy breeds negative energy. Put out positive energy and you're going to get that back.
Yay. See, smart woman on the show, like always. Bam.
Well, but, and then, of course, we talk about regulations in different parts of the country. So, again, great party last night. Thank you, Thesis Hotel. We'll talk a little bit about Thesis Hotel after Behind the Veil, or after the veil. But it was great to hear a whole bunch of different planners' perspective, because there were several that were dealing with foreign weddings, German weddings, Pakistani weddings, Indian weddings that were coming into the United States, specifically because South Florida had lighter responses, lighter restrictions when it came to COVID in general. And the overall feeling was, well, yes, they say that you have to do this before the wedding, but really, in reality, this is what really happens. And I found it interesting that, and there were a couple of hotel people there as well, that one of the hotels was like, nope, we have somebody that's security that stays in the room, that makes sure that everything is covered. And the other was like, well, no, we really do turn a blind eye to it. It's like, okay. And that adds, I feel like that adds to the overall confusion of, the etiquette around COVID, because if everybody's doing something different, how do you get the proper messaging across when everybody goes, well,
I'll tell you what I want me to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Just like, and I'm going to go there. So,
go there.
in everyday life, if you're a promiscuous young lady or gentleman or whatever your pronoun may be, I think about it looking like this. Have protected sex going into that situation, like everybody has everything, right? And you want to protect yourself. Same thing with this mask, COVID. Just pretend you need to have the mental stability. Everybody has it. Or I have it. I need to keep somebody safe. If you do that one thing, it should be just like,
I feel
birth control, if you will,
Yeah, you actually on a good, that's good.
That's exactly how you should think about it, in no place. Just put it right next to each other. Seriously.
Right.
Wrap it up, mask it up, or cask it up.
Oh, look at you. Oh, look at you with your...
I had to make up for the no lashes. I guess we'll do a rap song today. I don't know. Maybe I'm rhyming.
but okay. So, if you're one of these people out there, and let's say that you're, obviously as a planner, I'm dying literally every day. It's like, and I'm blown away actually by the number of inquiries that I'm now getting, which is amazing. But again, I have to have my own boundaries when it comes to that. I have had conversations with couples right off the bat, and I say, well, I enforce it. It's one of those things that if masks are still needed at that time, then we will be following protocols. We will. There is no, and I've actually had a couple of people go, well, we're really looking for somebody that's going to be a little easier on that. But that's a personal decision.
Right.
I had to, but that affects my business. Just like this venue, making somebody force them to work without a mask or being able to protect themselves is just wrong on so many levels.
I promise you.
I'm so mad about that. I can't let it go. I just can't let it go. It just boggles my mind that somebody would do that. But then you have the other side of it. And I have a wedding that we've moved back multiple times because the overall vision is to have a big 300, 400 person wedding without masks. To their credit, they are moving the wedding to a point so that way vaccination and herd immunity is a thing. So instead of trying to fight and go against protocol or find a place that will allow them to, go less with the requirements, they're pushing it back. They're like, it's more important that we have a safe environment in general than us to try to skirt the rules. And I
promise you, when you have to make that phone call, because you just got it. You take us, for instance. When Keith tested positive, I saw him once. Mm-hmm. And he's like, girl, I had to call and tell you. And he knows I'm a worrywart, so he had to think about it for a second. She's like, this is going to make sure, I don't want to make her go crazy. But, and I can just imagine, because I put myself in your shoes, even though they're a little bigger than mine. I can only just imagine how that felt for you to have to make that phone call.
Oh, it's the worst.
I mean, do you know what I mean? I was like, see, people they got it twisted. They need to get with it. This is not a joke. They need to. But here's the thing: there's so many things to do. The party can still continue. Everything can still be glamorous. Just it's like adding an extra step. Do you know what I'm saying? And just you should be washing your hands anyway. So how dirty have you been your whole life? Wash your hands. So that should be nothing. Now you have to wear take a precaution to wear a face mask. It's like putting on a gown, rhinestone it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Do fashion if you want to. If you're that concerned about, it makes me look or whatever. Right. There's so many things that you can do. And trust me, now I'm going to cash in on that mask. I'm going to be our little stone and fool because I'm going to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? I just think it's very foolish for someone to be so, to me, it's extremely irresponsible to not go out without a mask.
Well, okay. And do you feel like the couple needs to supply masks, or do you feel like people should already have their own?
Well, first of all, you're walking out of your car into the facility, whether it's a church or a temple or, the venue. You're walking out of your car and walking in somewhere else. You have to be wearing a mask at all times, period. So that you would have your own. If the couple wants to supply, or let's say somebody gets dirty, they drops on the floor, whatever it is, because they're eating and then maybe it falls on the floor, I definitely think the couple should have backups.
Yes.
And even more so than that, why not just incorporate something from the wedding? I mean, whether it's the color, whether it's monogram, whether it's, a motif, whatever it is, the fabrics, the design, whatever it is, just do something that's going to at least maybe be more visually appealing in your photos anyway.
What do you do about people that don't want to wear a mask? What do you think is the proper way to respond to a guest that says, I was invited to this wedding. Mm-hmm. They know I don't like wearing masks, but they invited me anyway. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to that?
Pull them aside and I would say, I understand how you personally feel, but this is a venue and we have to abide by certain rules and regulations by the city, by the county, by the state.
Right.
But, in order for us to remain open, we need for you to do your part.
But you don't want it to become a big thing.
No.
So there's a balance there because you don't want it to start affecting the overall vibe of the wedding, that you have this random person over here that's now starting to get angry at the fact that they don't want to wear their masks. So, there's the balance. But I also feel like, again, if we go back to the invitation, if we go back to making sure people understand that protocols will be followed, that you will hopefully not run into those situations because you were clear.
I know a couple that have not put anything in their, on their pieces.
Right.
But most people will put something on them. They'll put in there, that masks are required at all times and so forth. So it's not, those are some of the ways to get around it. But I definitely think even if you're wearing a mask, you still run a risk. I mean, my sister is a nurse. She's a registered RN. She's a nurse and she wears her mask all the time. And she just had her COVID test. So we're waiting for the results on that. I mean, you just never know where you're going to pick it up from. It could be a door handle. It could be something that you never even thought that you touched, but maybe you touched it for an instant.
Right.
You know, or
That's
you
all
come
it
in
takes.
contact with somebody for 15 minutes and maybe before you walked in the room, they had their mask off for a few seconds. You just don't know.
We just don't know. And
Do you remember in the 80s? I gotta interrupt. Do you remember
Yeah,
in the 80s that commercial where the guy had, I want to see, in my fantasy, it's a cast iron skillet. But he had the heated up, and he's like, "This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs." And he
Oh my
actually
God.
identifies it.
Oh,
This
no.
is COVID. This is. I mean, I'm a marketing genius, right? It's so stupid simple though. Like this, it's a huge thing, but it's the simplest thing. It's like you can't wear a mask. I'm sure you've moved heaven and earth to do everything else in your life, to do probably get something you wanted, but you cannot have the common courtesy to protect other people and most importantly yourself by putting a face covering on.
Right. So okay.
That's a great analogy.
It's like closing the Ziploc bag so the peanut butter and jelly sandwich doesn't get crusted before lunchtime. It's simple stuff.
Okay.
I guess I should wear lashes. I should never wear lashes.
By the way, I was the summit that I'm on. Brian, I don't know if you know, but Brian Green, he's also another event professional, and he was saying he doesn't like to use the word pandemic, so he calls it a Panasonic.
Oh, fabulous!
A Panasonic. Okay, so I think all of us can agree that we're ready for COVID to be done. We're all, we are all COVID tired. COVID tired. But again, it's important because we never really answered the question about the wording that would be specific about making sure people understand that there is always a risk. How do you say in a nice way to your guests that we would love for you to be a part of this? And actually this came up as a conversation with one of my clients, and that's actually why I'm actually specifically asking this question, because I have my response. But what would you say to, because obviously we already know that we can say masks and protocols will be enforced, but how do you put across the point that yes, even though we have all of these things happening, there is a chance, and you need to make the decision for yourself? Is that something you should do in writing, or is that something you should do as a conversation, or even on a website?
You can do it if you have a website, which is always great. That's the best place to do it because you can put more information and be more direct. Whereas an invitation or an enclosure card, you have to be very succinct because there's only so many characters that you have. Whereas on a website, you can provide more detail. Right. And if somebody has a really big issue with it, they're going to ask you. They're going to confront the bride and the groom and ahead of time, and that might be dealt with before they get on site, which is always much better than being on site and dealing with it.
So do you feel like it is? Do you feel like it's perfectly acceptable then not to talk about the fact that there is still a risk, or because you assume everybody understands that there's always going to be a risk?
Unfortunately, I'd love to say yes. I think everybody should by now understand. And respect and be mindful. But unfortunately, we just live in a day and age where people do what they want to do.
So, and you feel like you need to actually put it in print or say something that, yes, there's still a risk.
Yes.
And I think adding to that too, with why I agree with that, with the emails, like put that like a link or whatever so that that the person has read it and then do the check. Okay. But you know what I'm saying? That way your job is done. You've done what you need to do. This person has been well informed and says so. And then take it from there. I feel like this. You know what? Just think, COVID's never going away. That's how I feel.
If it's not COVID, it'll be something else.
I would love it to, but it's just like getting a flu shot. The flu's never going away. So I think that way. So always be prepared. If we find a cure and it is 120% fabulous and it's just a vaccine, we're great. Fabulous. But it doesn't really putting on him. Listen, for those that have whatever, may have a medical condition. So what they need to do is they need to figure out something for those people. I said medical, not mental. Medical,
oh, sorry.
Like asthma or whatever.
Right.
I have a deviated septum,
and
it's hard for me to breathe sometimes. That's why I like the face shield, because I can breathe through that. It doesn't cover, So I think what needs to happen, though, this is another idea. For the people that do have that medical situation to where they can't breathe, we need to find something to help, apparatus, if you will, for them to be able to not use that as an excuse.
Yeah, they've actually
Do you
they
know what I'm
have those
saying?
actually. They
They
actually
do
have
have
it
them
for
if people
yeah.
choose to look the other way.
So then people need to just. So then I think I want like a $10,000 fine for not wearing it or something. You know what I mean? Like, and they
Right.
need to enforce it. Honestly,
When do you think it's too much? Is there such a thing as too much information when it comes to COVID? When it comes to a wedding?
don't scare the children, but inform them.
I think if you have if you have any signage, because some people may want to put signage up,
Right.
I would put it in the prominent place, but I wouldn't make it so overtly humongous that becomes the focal point. You still need to provide it, and maybe if it's by the door as people are walking in, maybe have somebody standing there with masks, so that people do get, they get it in their head, but it's kind of like a subliminal kind of way.
Well, and that's what I say. I'm like, smaller signs, more of them, right?
Yes.
It's not, do postcard signs, little picture frames, multiple places throughout the venue, at the bar, in the bathroom. It's not this big red glaring COVID-19.
Exactly.
You don't want the big signs, little signs. So that it's just a reinforcer. It's a subliminal reinforcer.
Right. We don't need to take out billboards. We don't need flashing signs.
It doesn't need to be on 95, click it or ticket,
But and if somebody doesn't, and if somebody doesn't have their mask on, you have extras at the bar, because then the bartender can slide it over. Mm-hmm. And if somebody
I promise you, if I'm tending bar and you want that cocktail I just made you and there's no mask, I'm like, trade Jack, because I'm gonna get real full. I mean, you got to just be smarter than some of these people that think that they're smarter than you.
No, and I like the fact that you add some humor in there, to say trade ya. I mean, that's a nice way of enforcing it.
I don't think anybody needs to be a DICK about it. I just think that, to me, I take it personally as do it first and foremost, do it for yourself, because that's why I wear mine, to keep myself safe.
Right.
And then there's to do it for others as well. But I mean, that's what it's there for.
So
what I mean?
Okay, so now I'm going to take it after the wedding.
Okay.
You've done everything you possibly can to inform everybody. You've provided masks. You've provided signage. You've done your due diligence, so to speak. Mm-hmm. After the wedding, you find out somebody tested positive, and it may or may not have been because of at your wedding.
Yeah.
What is your responsibility then? I know, right?
As the host or the planner?
As the host or the planner, because
somebody needs to start making phone calls.
Yeah.
And advising the other people that were there.
How would that be? How would you do that in a non-threatening but informative way? Because I think that's the important part, is that you don't want to freak people out. If you have somebody that tested positive that was at your event, at your wedding, and it's that's very specific, 5 to 10 days. I think that's the window that everybody talks about, is 5 to 10 days. Somebody tests positive 5 to 10 days after you're attending your wedding. What are your responsibilities to your guests? And
you need to inform them, period.
As the host, I mean, I think that you need to start with the table that the person was sitting at.
Yeah.
Because obviously those are the closest people.
Right.
But I think that, you just call and say, listen, here's the story. Here's what's going on. We're paying close attention, and we're trying to do some back data to figure out when the person actually contracted it. Right. It may not have been at the wedding. It may not have been before the wedding. It may have been after the wedding. But we need to give everybody who attended, and especially the people that we're sitting close to him,
right,
a heads up of what's going on, because we want to make sure that we keep you safe as well.
And what do you say about somebody that attends that tests positive, but then they think, well, I don't feel like I got it at the wedding. Do you go ahead and move forward and tell the bride and groom, or tell the host that you've tested positive, or out of an abundance of caution?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost my uncle to COVID. We didn't know that he had it at the time.
Right.
So it's for me, it's a very personal thing. And you never know who is sitting in your audience, who's dealt with or is dealing with something, a medical issue or experience of their own. You don't know what somebody else is 100% dealing with. So I always think it's better to err on the side of caution versus the side of neglect.
I spoke about it last week. The two things I said, and transparency.
Right. Transparency.
Have integrity. Be transparent. Tell the truth. Be on time with that phone call. Don't wait 2 weeks.
Right.
As soon as you find out,
you should be informing.
Either, and I think, let's just say, for instance, it was one of our events, right? So we have a phone call from the bride. So what I would do is one of two things. Either, and Chris, I'm sure Keith would have this conversation. This is what I would do. With that bride and groom, say, this is the tea.
Right.
Now, we put on this wedding for you. So either we can, because we're cool, and we would do that. Take the responsibility, because maybe they don't want to make that phone call. So then we could take it upon ourselves. It's easier for us to do that. And I think coming from us, it would be easier. Or give the bride and the groom or whatever the opportunity. Maybe they would rather reach out. But it needs to be done very, very delicately, kindly, to the point, but it needs to be done immediately.
Yes.
So you brought up a very good point. One of the things that we talk about as event planners is that we're not emotionally connected to the family, and so there are things that we're able to say and guidance that we're able to give because we're not invested with them emotionally. Right. And I feel like, Brooke, you hit it on the head. I feel like, if somebody does test positive, reach out to your planner, see if they would be willing to take on, because it is going to be a different job, because that's tracking. You got to do some tracking. But if the planner is able and willing, I would reach out to all of the guests, and because it's coming from me, I'm coming, and I'm able to discuss it in a very calm manner and be informative and not be emotional. Look at the reviews. People love you, Keith. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, they love you too. Look at the reviews. But that's what I'm saying, is that if you have a bride and groom or a parent that is all emotional and crying because somebody is gotten very sick, or you have somebody like a professional that reaches out, it's a completely different. It's gonna be the
vibe will be different. Yes, the information will be received in a different kind of light and in a better way, because like you said, the emotional attachment is different.
It really is. So
and more than likely they are. More than likely, some people will ask, are the bride and groom aware of this? So forth and so forth. And obviously, yes, but we want them to enjoy their time right now. They just got newly married. We want to give them that opportunity. And that's why we're making the calls to help ease the process. And
please, and use me as a source of contact. It's like, please keep me updated on your test results. And actually I bought 20 rapid self-tests that I actually have. Yes, and they're ready in 10 minutes, and they have a set 97% accuracy.
Is it the little blue? Is it the little white ones that I spoke to you about with the little prick, like a pregnancy test, or is it something different?
No, it's a swab.
It's a swab. Okay,
it's a nose swab. But so they're not officially on the market yet. I actually got it through a medical doctor friend of mine that sold them to me.
It's very black market. I love it.
Well, I know, right? Well, and it was interesting because they're only $27 each when you buy them like that.
Oh, good. I'll take 2.
And they charge $120. But again, I think that's going to be one of the things that I most planners are going to be like, oh God, one more thing that I need to add to my list. And
knock on wood that I'm saying this, but I feel like eventually those are going to be hanging like in ease, readily available. Like you can go into a drugstore to buy a pregnancy test.
Oh, 100%.
Do you know what I'm saying?
100%. So I think our discussion today, it has been great because we talked about clear communication, be upfront and honest,
transparency,
right. Don't make it an emotional piece. It is informational only. I love the idea of not having it on the actual invitation, but as an insert. Love, and I love the fact that we all talked about, like, not huge signs, smaller signs throughout the space, just for that subliminal kind of reminder. And get the bartenders and the staff on your side.
It's like getting your cable bill. You get the bill, like, oh, by the way, there's a little coupon behind it. Next month, if you sign up for autopay, we'll give you $10 off. I think that's fabulous. Sneak it in there, so it's not like bam in your face. But it still needs to be in there, and it doesn't ruin the impact that an invitation gives to someone when they first read it.
Right.
Because COVID was like, oh, and then yay, oh great, and then oh. You know?
Well,
I've had to do like double invitations for people. So like I have one here that I did. It was actually a bat mitzvah, and they wanted to do one for the virtual people where they're only going to be virtual because like they're not in town and they're not inviting them to come because, you know, who wants to travel during COVID? The other one is for in person, though it has an option for those guests to go virtual if they choose to.
Right.
So that was all on the invitation, but the layout was very, you know, it was catty corner. So, you know.
Well, so all right, so great discussion, guys, and I'm glad it was the big three. Love it. So we're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll be back with After the Veil, which is going to be a much nicer subject to talk about because then it's all happy, happy, joy, joy. Well, so to speak. Anyway, see you in 30 seconds.
Do you take this man to be your husband?
I do.
She has thought of every detail. He, however, has not.
I want you to have something special, too.
Welcome to manlybands.com. Manly Bands has wedding bands for every kind of man. Go to manlybands.com and get 20% off, and we'll throw in a free silicone band.
Just the fact that I didn't have to put on pants just really makes me love you more.
You should still put on pants, though.
manlybands.com.
I love that ad.
I love that ad. Oh my God, I love that ad. I'm like, oh no, you should put on pants. You should put on pants. Oh, so welcome to After the Veil. This is my favorite part because this is all the happy, happy, joy, joy. And I really want to talk about my visit to the Thesis Hotel.
Yes.
So
I've got questions.
Okay. Do you have questions? Okay. First of all,
I want answers.
It's one of the few privileges that come with being a planner when a hotel or another venue invites you to their location to experience it. And I think it's super important that we do that so we get an idea of what the guest experience is going to be like at these hotels. And honestly, Thesis did it right because it was just the right amount. Like there wasn't a whole line of people waiting for us to arrive, but there was a beautiful note, a beautiful bag. They VIP'd our when we got there, so everything was taken care of. It went very smooth. The valet knew of the event coming in, which I feel like the valet should know about a wedding coming in. It was just done right, start to finish. And even the food, which surprisingly, I was shocked because at first it said on the invitation, cocktails and bites. Well, when I hear cocktails and bites, it doesn't seem like dinner to me. But what they did is they broke down their entree menus into past items. So you got a taste of all their entree items. All their entree items as little plates.
Oh, nice.
It was really well done. So if they they had a fish and grits that was like, I would normally say, what? Fish and grits?
Fish and grits?
But it was so good. It was so good. And that was the other thing is that because I didn't have to invest in this large portion, like I didn't have to order a big fish and grits to try it. It was much easier for me to be able to try all the.
She got sample size.
Oh my God, it was awesome. So great job to Katie and somebody else. Oh no, why can't I think of the other? Shannon. Great job to Katie and Shannon over at the Thesis Hotel. You guys did it right. It was awesome. So questions, Brooke, what are the questions?
What I want to know is, was that second egg eaten?
Yes.
What?
Second egg. So I had this morning, I had steak and eggs, and I completely forgot to take a picture of this beautiful plate. And so I made Jake push one egg over to act like it was, it was not a great photo.
Oh, because I'm like, when did you sunny side up, darling? I don't know that about you.
Oh my God! Oh, I love sunny side up. I love sunny side up. Oh, yum, 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 yum. Oh yeah.
And
by the way, they have
but
they have a restaurant called Mammy. I think it's and it kind of caught me off guard because I'm like, Mammy, that's a horrible name for a restaurant because I feel like that is kind of a throwback, but I guess it's a completely different meaning. So. But they had a great restaurant. The restaurant is beautiful. They had the balcony and the lounge area were fabulous. Fabulous. Like it was the best part of the hotel.
So the visuals were on point?
Huh?
Go ahead, Maxie.
The decor in the pictures that I saw.
Yeah.
It looks very like modern, clean lines.
Super clean.
That
Very
was my question. What's
simple and warm and inviting.
Yeah. So if you have a wedding for like 70 to 100 people, and you need a place that you feel like won't kill you on your budget, and you're willing to have it in a more corporate environment, because there's not any gardens nearby. It's not going to have that lush, over the top.
Is it very like contemporary? What's the vibe?
Very contemporary, but no water views. It's totally landlocked. So, a lot of brides, when they come to South Florida, they want to have that beach experience. They want to have that outdoor experience. The big courtyard that, if you look on my Facebook posts, show that big courtyard, which has a very cathedral vibe to it. Perfect.
Not far, you said, from the university, right?
Right across the street. Now, here's the
So
drawback.
if you're a bride and you got, if you got your degree there.
Oh, I'm just saying. So here are the, every place. I always tell my couples, I'll give you the pros and cons of every location. So the big con on this one is the train. There's a train that comes by, I think, every like 10 minutes or so. And so, I was thinking, like, when we did that wedding at the Marriott Brook, and there was that big music festival going on next door, and we did it during their break.
And we had to go to Publix and try and get subs for everybody during. Oh, that was fabulous. 120 degrees.
120 degrees.
Didn't we jump on, like, I wanted to jump on one of those little birdies, or the little the green one. What are those called? What were they called? The green ones.
Yeah. No, I remember. The little. Not
the birdie, the other one, the first one.
Line.
Thank you, Line.
It was called Line. But so we actually ended up doing the ceremony during the break of the band. So they had a 30-minute break. And so literally, as soon as the band stopped, we started the ceremony. And as soon as the ceremony was over, all this loud music went going on outside the hotel. So I feel like you're going to have kind of the same thing. Is that you're going to
totally save money on entertainment that night.
Oh my God, we totally could. We could open the doors.
Can you hear the train at nighttime when you're sleeping?
No, I didn't, which was great. And the sound out of the rooms, the beds were super comfortable. So freaking comfortable.
I saw that post.
We were asleep
that's
like
important
3 minutes.
Too, because like when you're used to having your bed and then you go someplace else, and so I was excited that I saw that comment. I'm like, okay, cute. Made me want to go, maybe book a room.
Well, and I had a similar experience at Conrad, because Conrad had us, I guess, a couple of years ago, and I still remember how much fun I had, and with all the other planners. We were sitting out on the front of the restaurant, looking over the beach, eating all this amazing food. There's a restaurant, by the way, at the Conrad. They went through a reimagining. So if you haven't been to the Conrad in Fort Lauderdale to their restaurant there has gone through a reimagining. If you didn't like it before, I guarantee you're gonna love it now. So go and check it out. I can't remember the exact name, but anyway. So what happened? What good things happened to you guys this week?
I've just been immersed in this conference, so I'm like gaining a lot of knowledge. And I was just written up on the front page of NACE.net.
What?
Oh,
yes, they did a CPCE spotlight on me. It's like 4 pages. It's amazing.
Congratulations.
I owe you kudos too, because I just saw a post a week or two ago that you've got another little something else to put on the wall, I believe.
Yes, another award.
The wire, what is it? Wire, the one we
that was that one was for Rent My Wedding.
Yeah,
I got Rent My Wedding, and I got the Wedding Wire.
Wedding Wire. Yeah.
And
we got that too. We got that.
Yeah, and I was just on last week. I was on a podcast for Rent My Wedding.
I know. Wasn't that fun?
Yes, and we have Keith and I are going to be on another one coming up.
March 2nd.
Yes.
Yeah, great. We're on a different podcast March 2nd. Thank you. And Marcy actually invited me, so that was very sweet. Because
so he was like, let me hurry up and not get my ass screamed at.
No.
It's just a different perspective, because there's two areas that we're going to touch upon. And I felt it would be good to have somebody on his side.
Listen, I couldn't even make lashes today, so I'm not mad. Like, I'm surprised that I'm not cowered in a corner, and I'm like, oh my God. 1:34, I looked at my phone, and I had just put my rollers in, and I'm like, how in the hell am I going to pull this
I know.
off? I'm like, babe, go crack open all my white. He's like, you want me to crack open all your White Claws now? I said, yes. Keith gets to know. I can't do it on the show. He hears it. It's like, they have to be cracked open. There's 4 in there. He's like, there's only 2. And
oh my
like,
God, you're like, damn it, there are 4. But I love the. Well,
Thank God I didn't start drinking at 12:30 like an.
I love the fact that we started and you had a curler still in your hair.
What you got? You should like see if I flip it. Shows, like my bar's covered with rollers and pins. I had 1 tucked back here, 2 down here. They wouldn't come. I decided to give myself a haircut last night.
Personally,
oh my God! Like my own hair.
How did it go?
Well, you tell me.
Well,
I cut off 6 inches of my whole head.
Oh my God!
I did it myself. See, it's hard to do. I went to school, so I'm licensed, but it's like. When you have, so basically you section, and then you pull this way and you just have to have a match. And I'm sitting here and I got the trash can and I'm like, I have this much hair hanging up. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, so basically because 7 months ago I had my hair cut in color.
Yeah.
I color my own hair. I can do it, but cutting it, I like to leave to my stylist who I can't get a hold of who's in Orlando. I'm like, this can't go on any longer. So last night I'm like going through it and I'm like, oh, so I basically cut off all the hair that I grew the last 7 months.
Oh my God. It's only 6 inches of hair.
It's healthy now.
Well,
whatever this is. Whatever that is.
We shall be different in everybody's screen. Well, I've been cutting my own hair for so long now that I'm actually like, well, because I've learned how to do the whole blah, blah, blah. But, guys' hairs are easy. You put on the different levels on the buzzers and so it takes me all of 10 minutes now.
See, I can't mess with those buzzers. I got to do everything scissor over comb.
I do marks. I've been doing marks here for the last several years.
Well, but don't you think that that's one of the things that has changed in this world is that we're much more used to doing the things ourselves that we used to pay other people?
Marcy, do you use clippers or shears or both?
I use both.
I just use clippers. But it's so funny because now I'll do my own hair, but yet I'll want somebody else to do my shopping. Like I'll go to Instacart for something super simple, where before it was reverse. I'd rather have somebody else cut my hair, but I would do my own shopping. So
but I'm like, give me the American Express, I'll go.
You'll make a couple of other stops.
You need cupcakes, and I need a new guest dress.
right? But don't you think like that transition has happened? It's just weird how the world has evolved in that way, and I feel like a lot of that is not going to go back. I mean, as much as we would love for the world to go back to pre-COVID, I'm actually really enjoying some of the results. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this podcast if it weren't for COVID.
Get a lot more. I think, we live in a society that it was always about going and doing and doing and doing and doing. Right. And now, even though things are more relaxed in a certain way, we're getting a lot more accomplished in a day because we're not running here, there, and everywhere.
We're able to do a lot more here. Now, there is something to be said. I do miss meeting my clients face to face because I don't think I've met a single new client face to face since, one. Yeah. One out of all the new clients that I've signed on for the last 6 months, I've met one in person.
Really?
Wow.
I'll be meeting another one. Oh yeah. Shh. Anyway, not going to bring that up. Anyway, so I do miss the in person because there are just some things that you get from when you're meeting somebody in person. Like there's a vibe that you get. There's an energy. I know going a little new age here, but you get a sense of their body language, and it gives you a lot of information that you might not have gotten before.
Yes.
I will say I've lost 17 pounds and I've never had cleaner baseboards or floors in my life. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you that I've gained 17 pounds, but I am on my way back down because for some reason I lost a great amount of weight, 30 pounds, man. I worked like a dog, but I gained it all back in 6 weeks.
And I didn't realize it until 2 days ago when you wore that nice salmon shirt. I was like, oh. I didn't say anything. I was like, "You look so handsome." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wear this blazer." And
oh my God, seriously, you were.
And I was like, "See, I'm so nice to you."
Don't fat shame me.
Except for I did not fat shame you. I
Okay.
did. The shirt still fit, and the buttons weren't stretching and pulling apart. So I'm like, and so if you gained 30 pounds, I saw it. But
oh my God,
the shirt was the blouse was fine, darling. The blouse did not care.
But I mean,
she wasn't struggling over it.
But so I went through all the weight loss because I knew I was going to start getting back in front of people. Well, see, when I came down with COVID and I was back in my little cave, I went right back to my old habits, and now I got to go back down because we got to be back in front of people. March is as busy this year as it was last year when we had to shut everything down.
I cleaned out my closets yesterday, and I have a big box, and I'm like, what's in that box? Do you know how many pairs of sickening gorgeous high heels I have that I forgot I owned?
Oh my God.
Oh, I can't even wait. I was like, so that's why I needed to lose the weight, because, you know, my feet got fat too. So I'm like, I need to get into these heels. I paid a lot of money for these. You haven't seen any of these yet, Keith. I forgot I had them.
Well, but Marcy, you're looking very, you know, put together. I mean,
Marcy always looks great. But we see you. We see you.
I am losing weight. I'm working hard at it.
You really are.
And,
how are you? Are you feeling fabulous? You look
I feel fantastic.
You do.
Because they say when you look great, you feel great, you know?
And you really do look good. You really do. I mean, I just love, I mean, you can tell that there's an energy and a vibe. Do you feel like you're able to walk more? Do you feel like
oh my God. It is, honestly, it's like night and day. I mean, I can do more in a day. I can physically go longer paces, you know, do more physical activity.
Right.
You know, I mean, one of the reasons why I was like over the being in on a, you know, working out at a nighttime function was my weight. My weight was just, it was killing me. And I just said, this has got to stop. It's got to stop. And as a side benefit of it all, I've actually, not only have I lost weight, I have more energy. I've gotten off of a lot of medicines that I didn't need to be on. Right. Yeah, obviously. My husband is getting in shape. So it's been great. It really has.
Well, and that's one of
the best thing is you get to go buy new clothes.
I know. Right? I still have to go. I have a whole closet full of clothes. I'm going to have to start going through and pulling things out, and you know, to make donation piles.
Call me.
Oh yeah.
She has a fabulous wardrobe.
Brooke loves your clothing. She is all over your clothing. She is.
I know. The only thing is my height. I am 5 feet tall.
Oh, she doesn't mind. She doesn't mind a short
I'll take
skirt.
those gowns and turn them into mini skirts. I'm fat.
That's true.
She does not mind it. She does not mind.
There's two dresses I have in mind that I want actually.
Oh,
the one you wore at the Epic the first time I met you. I want that one.
Was it the white with the purple flower?
Yeah, she knows what. Yes.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember that.
This girl.
Was the ocean? Was it the ocean or no?
We were at Sonesta. Yeah.
Okay. That was orange flowers.
Yeah, it was beautiful. There's two of them, and then there's the one he was speaking. And I was like, that's when I was like, oh, I need to up the ante here because this thing is showing me up. And so then I had to start, you know, finessing things.
It's a long time to put on, but it will take time to take off. Yeah. But for what I've accomplished in just a couple of months now, it's totally different.
So, you know, congratulations. And, you know, there's now that our conversation has become much more intimate, maybe we need to close down this segment. So, oh, thank you everybody that's been out there listening to us. Again, we are so happy that you guys listen to us week after week on Behind the Veil and After the Veil. Next week, I am so excited because I don't know if you guys know of a company called Love Inc. So they are an LGBTQ equality firm that is all about marriage rights and making sure that there's marketing that is equal for all couples. And so the owner of Love Inc., her name is Brittany Dry, is going to be on our show next Tuesday. So we're going to get to hear all about, you know, LGBTQ rights, the marketing, and how they're making sure that people are being being inclusive. There was my word. Sorry.
And I promise I will never not be live on air without eyelashes again. Not come on.
Don't make a promise you can't keep. All right, everybody.
I'll come late next time for lashes.
All right, everybody. Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
See you next Tuesday.